Good morning, Rabbi Isai. You know what? I'll do it myself. In Shiva Chachmi Lublin, we did this. I don't know, it was a little bit chazonis. I don't know why. It came out weird, but here it is. Shiva's Chachmi Lublin. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. This is my son went on a tiyul yesterday, and he's the one in the center, number 23. They usually don't wear that to yeshiva. I'm just on a trip. These kids, as soon as they get a chance, the second they get a chance, here they are. This is them doing Good Morning Rabbi Isai El style. Okay. Joel Friedman. So somebody recommended, and I think it's a great idea actually, to make an app, or when we have our app, when it comes out, Be'ez Hashem, very soon, there should be like a place over there where you click in and you say you did the daf in that place where you are. So add another destination to MDY travel app, learning in Vietnam. Can't have a day without learning. Thank you. Good Shabbos. This is Joel Friedman. I love when I call. You ever call a B&H and Joel Friedman picks up, or Avraham Berkovitz picks up? No, but they have this Abraham Berkovitz. Abe Berkovitz. What's up? What are the other? Like we don't know the Satmar Hasidim. There's no. You can't see from the name. B'chlal not. Joel Friedman. Some guy somewhere is learning in Vietnam. Okay, I know exactly what Joel Friedman looks like. In my mind, at least. Elio, yeah, exactly. What?
Baseball cap on, so you can't tell.
He has the baseball caps. You can't tell, right? Eliyahu Emmanuel. We thank Hizbala for the chizuk to continue learning the daf, reminding us that every page is important. Hi, Rebelli. On Wednesday, you read an email from Yossi Kellner, anonymous, with an idea to do a group chazara after the shir. For the last few months, I've been doing chazara with the chavrus every day after watching the shir, and it really adds to the clarity and satisfaction that I get from my learning. Taking on Yossi Kellner's idea, the same thing could be done in MDY RBS right after the 10 o'clock Ma'ariv. There could be a chazara koil in both languages that could trigger the same initiative in other places. Shapsi Kohen Beitar. 1,080 daf since Mesechus Rosh Hashanah. This is more in Hebrew. Shimon Friedland is a Rebbe in Cheder, and he learns Elam Tzias. Everybody knows his shiurim. I have an interesting class this year. A little, what's the word? Madgeret. It's challenging. Thank you. And it would really help them if I could use the pictures from the shir. So yes, you could definitely use the pictures. There's a school in Bet Shemesh that uses our pictures, but they work really hard to take out the MDY logo from it. They won't show anything that has MDY on it. So that I am makbid on. No, MDY is MDY. Once in a while, you can mention us. So maybe one of the fathers, maybe they're anti. So then don't use it if you're anti. So Rabbi Isai, here's the question of the day. We have a little time now for Hilchos Lashon Hara, the initiative from Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. I can't tell you how many times Rabbi Rothschild drove in to Bet Shemesh. Count how many times, Yosef, did he drive in here?
Came from Kutzar.
He came special from Chutz La'aretz, you think?
No, he was here and he came.
So that's Machlokes Yosef and Nachman Seltzer.
He didn't fly from America.
But
yeah, sure.
So here's the question. Mott and Yehuda are partners in a construction company firm, and they're supposed to be building my dream house. Motti's a pleasure to work with, but Yehuda drives me nuts. He's always arguing, nitpicking like crazy. With him, everything takes ages because he insists on irrelevant details. I can't take it anymore. I've decided to take my business elsewhere. Mati will be devastated that I'm leaving, and I really want to maintain my friendship with him. I want to tell him that his part is just too stressful to work with. Can I tell Mati that I'm leaving because of his partner Yehuda? A, no. It will cause a rift between Mati and Yehuda. Yes, Dov can tell Mati why he's leaving so that Mati will not be upset with him. Yes, Dov can tell Mati so that Mati will tell Yehuda to stop being so difficult with other customers. In other words, this is some Tayelas. C. Everybody's saying C. Not at all. So he's saying that the answer is, it depends. If this is interesting. If Dov decided to switch companies and is just telling Mati so that Mati won't be angry with him, if his Tayelas is just to keep the friendship, it's not a Tayelas and it's forbidden. Why is that not a Tayelas? I don't know. It's not a Tayelas. But if Dov is still a customer who's just considering leaving the company because of his frustration with Yehuda, then he could tell Mati, look at rule 3 of Tayelas, but before telling Mati, Dov should approach Yehuda and explain to him that some of the things he's doing are causing him to consider leaving. This is because one of the rules of Tayelas is that one must first approach the subject. You hear this? One must first approach the subject before discussing the matter with someone else in the halachas of Tayelas. Zokt the heilige sponsors. The Koil of the month is sponsored by Binyomin Rosenfeld for Atzlach in business. Yishkoyach Binyomin Rosenfeld. Huh? He's back. I just noticed. Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Pernsa Chodesh, Linishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Linishma Zechariah bas Yosef. Pernsa Chodesh, Eli Stefansky, Refuah shleima and safe speedy return of our Chayalim. That's also sponsored by Moshe Tzvi Dalber, Dr. Moshe Tzvi Dalber, and Aber Renner. And also another sponsor matching Rebelli's donation to zchut Chayalim for the month. Pernsa Chodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld, Nachamal Binyomin Rosenfeld, for all the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Baruch should give you all the brachas. You know what they are. I know what they are. No, I don't know all of them. I know some of them. Should be zchus for that. Pernsa Shavua, last day for zchus, for complete refuah, for bracha Abigail bas Rochel Gitta, a fellow MDY member's wife. She should have a refuah shleima. Pernsa Chodesh is zchus for הצלחה in learning and in Pernasa. Pernsa Chodesh art of the month for zchus. So I had the pleasure of meeting this individual. This individual happens to be a very, I would say, a yeshivish-looking person, like a black hatter, very serious kind of guy, a guy that learns a lot. And Baruch Hashem, he's part of our shir. For zchus, for Rebelli, this is not cheap. This is $5,000. For zchus, for Rebelli, and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many, sponsoring the art of the month, Yishkoyach Rabbi. So we're holding on Daf Peivav Amud Beis all the way in the bottom, 2 lines from the bottom. To remind the Olam, we had 2 cases that are very, very similar. There's only like a word or 2 difference between the 2 of them. And that is if a person is selling 1 kur, a certain amount of produce, flour, let's say, and he says straight out, kur b'shloishin sela ani moicher. That's normal, right? I'm selling you this whole, huh? Tomorrow we're halfway through Bava Basra. I also remind the Olam that if you come on Motzei Shabbos, you'll be zoicha. I can't promise we'll have any left over. You'll be zoicha in one of these unbelievable full year bookmark. The only thing we asked them to reprint because it doesn't mention here Avodah Zarah Daf Chav Ches, but it does mention in here the Shabbaton. It's on here somewhere. Parshas Vayeshev, the 3rd day into Sanhedrin, which is right, because we're doing a Simon Bava Basra. So this mamish gishmak. There's also another one that the Hari from England made. We had that also, but I don't have them anymore. Where's the Haris? Oh, here it is. We have competition here. You go both ways. What? This is the Haris? Yeah, but this doesn't have the whole year. Okay, but it has other stuff. What? This is the whole year?
Just it's squished up.
Maybe he has Avodah Zarah of Chav Ches, then I would push this. And I'm just okay, fine. This is the Haris, 1 page. This page not. Okay. Wow, same size. Zok the Gemara. Here are the 2 cases. You see the 2 cases? A person says straight out, like we do today, I'm selling you a whole core for X amount of money. So when you start filling up here, take a look at the measuring cup. Nothing happens until the entire cup is full. When the whole cup is full, then it's a sale. But if a person sticks in kur b'shleishim, that's normal. But he explains each saw is a sela because a kur has 30. So he's breaking it up into 30 parts. So there's 30 different kinyanim going on here. So if we do this, each little saw is an individual kinyan. As it happens, the buyer acquires it. One saw at a time. No, so once he acquires it, nobody can go back. You can go back on the rest, but not on what you already put into the kli. In the first case, you can go back on the entire amount, all the way to that. Once it hits the top, boom, it's over. So now the Gemara is going to ask, something happens, if it breaks, If it breaks, then the owner, it's the owner's responsibility, the seller's responsibility. The Gemara is going to ask a few questions here. Toshma. Very interesting stuff today. Hasoicher sapoya lasois imoy lagoyren hayoim bediner v'lagoyren yofa sela. Very simple. I'll tell it to you in our terms. You know, like Erev Pesach, it's very hard to get a cleaning lady. So you make up. It's very hard every day. You found a cleaning lady. Right now, right before Sukkot, you find a cleaning lady. You make a deal with her. You say, listen, Pesach time, in a half a year from now, I want to hire you. How much do you want? So typically, a cleaning lady here in Eretz Yisrael is about 60, 70 shekel an hour. She says, I'll do it for 30 shekel an hour if you give me all the money up front. Give me 3,000 shekel right now, I'll work for 30 shekel an hour. So give her 3,000 shekel now. She gets to use the money for a half a year. And half a year from now, she comes and she works Erev Pesach, when everybody's charging, not 70, they charge 100, she's charging you 30 shekel an hour. Mutter aser. So the Gemara says it's a problem of ribis. Why? Because she's taking all the money in advance and she's waiting with the money. She's keeping the money for 6 months and then she's giving you a discount. She gives something cheaper. That's mamish agar nater, says the Gemara. The Gemara is going to say at the end it's not so because she has the right to decide how much she takes per hour. But it looks like ribis. Everybody in the neighborhood is taking 100 shekel an hour. It looks mechzi. Again, everybody in the neighborhood takes 100 shekel an hour. She's taking 30. Why? Because you gave her a loan. You gave her a loan.
I thought you paid her everything.
You paid her. No, you did. You paid her everything, but in 6 months in advance. So she has a loan. She has a loan for 6 months. Now she took the 3,000 shekel, bought a car. Right. For 6 months, she has your money. Why is she giving you a cheap price? Because she borrowed money from you.
She works.
No, the 3,000 shekel. That's her. Right. It's a loan. You're giving her the money in advance. Again, yeah. Listen. What is ribis? What is ribis? Ribis means I give you 1,000, you give me back 1,100. Right. I gave you 3,000 shekel, and I'm giving you cheap labor in 6 months from now. Everybody's getting 100 shekel an hour.
Paid right then from the beginning.
Correct. But
you paid her to labor. Here's the money.
It's a loan until you actually teach them. If I pay everything now, I'm lending you the money for teaching you gonna do it.
Okay.
And when you do it, you're getting paid. That's a loan. You can't be.
Hold on. Maybe it will become clear as we go on. Yeah. Says the Gemara. Now I just want to show you real quickly. This is Pesach time, right? This is Pesach. It's called. I just gave you an example of Pesach. There's something in the time of the Gemara called Goyren. Goyren, we saw that during when they reap the wheat, that's when they need all hands on deck. They need everybody. Rava would send all his Talmidim in yeshiva, go work, because you get a tremendous amount of money. You get 4 times the amount, literally 4 times the amount. So he told all his Bachrim, all his Talmidim, married guys, go work, make 4 times the amount. Now you have some cash, now you can learn the whole year. This is what Goyren looks like. The annoying ones will stop in a second. This is Disha.
You don't go that fast.
No, this is all. They'll get a little bit of a headache if they went that fast. Now, this is Zaira, throwing it up, winnowing. This is the whole process. You need a lot of people for this, so the demand for workers is really high. People pay a lot of money. This is the pure stuff that after a few hours of work, they get like 2 pounds of the stuff. Gewaldig. Working, 4 guys.
After a whole day.
Yeah.
18 people.
Exactly. Okay, this is the process of Goyrin. Goyrin demands a lot of money. Oh, they even... This is amazing. Okay, now let's see inside. This is the story of the cleaning lady, Sukkos to Pesach. I hire a worker to work in the highest demand season. Hayoim bedinner. I give him 1 dinner, which is 25% of the going rate of a sela. Hayoim bedinner. Vela goyren yofo sela. But during the goyren season, he could demand a full sela, 4 times the amount. Osur leheno simeno. It becomes a loan. I'm paying him today the 3,000, so he should work for me later by the goyren for a cheaper amount. He's not permitted to use the money because that's a loan. And what's the klal in ribbis, Rabbi Isai? Klal beribbis, kol aganotale, also agar notar. If you're waiting with the money, you're paying for waiting with the money. You're giving extra. Because I got your money, I will give you something later. What am I giving you later? I'm giving you cheap labor. Instead of charging 4 times the amount, I'm charging you 25%. This is just the halacha. How do you get out of this problem? If I do the same thing, for Pesach, I'm going to work for a quarter of the price. But I'm going to start today Sukkos. I'm going to be your cleaning lady today. Today's Sukkos, I'm starting today. At 25%, that's my wage. 25%, and I'll work through Pesach at the 25% wage. If I start today, it's not a problem of ribbis. The Gemara is going to explain everything. If he started today, mutar. Here we have it. You see on the right side, there's a little coin. That's what they decided. He's going to work for the small coin. During the Goyrin time on the left, in the ER, everybody gets 4 times the amount. So if he started working on the left, it's also. If he started working on the right, when it's really cheaper to work then, and that's when they decide to work, then it's mutter. If he started working in this place, hitchel miyad, it's mutter. Now, ask the Gemara on Rav and Shmuel. Remember Rav and Shmuel? Rav and Shmuel say that if a person says straight out, I'm selling 30 measurements, and each measurement I'm taking from you 1 saw. So as we go along, as he fills up the measuring device, there's a kinyan, another kinyan, another kinyan. Ask the Gemara, isn't our case of this cleaning lady the same thing? Every day is another measurement. Every day is another kinyan. You have to view every day as its own entity. She worked one day, she gets paid for that day. Worked another day. So in May asked the Gemara, when you gave her all the money in advance to work through Pesach, so what if she started today on Sukkos and she's going to work every day? Every day is his own thing. So why did she get all the money through Pesach? It's still Aganatar. She's still taking a loan. If it was one job to work from Sukkos to Pesach and she got all the money today in advance for one job, she started the job and she got all the money, okay. But if every day is its own entity, just like we said by a measuring cup, every time a saw goes into the cup, stop. There's a kinyan. Stop. There's another kinyan. So, stop at day 1 that she worked, and that's it. So why did you give her all the money in advance? That's ribbis l'chayra. The Gemara says much better. Here, just to compare the 2 things. The Gemara wants to compare kur b'shloishim, saw b'sela, that every saw is its own entity, is very similar to starting to work in Nisan and taking all the money in advance, but every day is its own entity. Rishon Chana. Hachinami asks the Gemara, Kama mifsak posak. Every day it's its own entity. And it should be usher to benefit from that loan, from all the money in advance. Why did you say that if I contract to work for a quarter of the price, a dinner instead of a sela, for every day, even though I go through the Gairin period, it's mutter amai, why is he taking all the money in advance? Why is this working, the Gairin guy? He works in a very high demand job, but he's taking very little money. The reason is because you gave him a loan. You gave him all the money in advance. Isn't that a problem? Says Rava, unbelievable. And this explains the whole sugya. V'tizbra, you really think zilzuli b'schiros mi'aser? A person is not allowed to take a small amount of money for his work? A human being could take whatever he wants per hour. You can't decide what a human being should take. Says the Rashbam, beautiful. Here's the Rashbam. The Rashbam is it's like where it says Gemara, after it says Mishnah, then it says Gemara. So to the right of that, it says like this. And if you want, you can look on the screen. Aval schar tircha shel adam, says the Rashbam. The payment that you pay a person for his work, leker ager notali. There is no ribis on that. Why? The derech poyel lahasker atzmoi. It's the way of a worker to rent himself out, b'chol shuhu, even for nothing. When a person is starving and he has nothing at home, so he'll work for $1 an hour also. He's allowed to do that. You can't say, oh, it's a no, you ripped him off. No, that's what he's asking to work for. Whatever he considers that it pays for him at that point, he'll do it. If he's a lawyer that makes $1,000 an hour, he won't work for a nickel less than $1,000 an hour. If he doesn't have food to put in his mouth and he's literally starving, so he'll work for a nickel also. Whatever he could get. If your kids are starving, they're starving. He's going to go to work. What?
It can't be zero. You got to pay him something.
It could be zero also.
Well, then it's already...
Time out. Avi Kamiansky, Noam Fix, all these guys, they work for zero for MDY. You could work for zero. A person could decide, I am donating my time. What's the problem?
You're doing it for the loan. At that point, you're doing it for the loan.
No. What do you mean?
No,
it's 0, so there won't be a loan. I'm talking about in a time that a guy decided I'm working for $1 an hour. Here's $1,000 for 1,000 hours. Says Rava, a person is permitted to do that. There is no ribis on a person's. So what is the problem? What is the problem? So, I just want to pause here for a second, because at the end of the day, we'll get to the Gemara. But this is important because the mamash happened yesterday. At the end of the day, a person's hour is worth as much as he decides it's worth. So if a person says, there are people that say, listen, I need to come to the shir, I need to come to daf today, but you're going to lose $1,000. He says, so what? I need to come. So he just made an hour of learning is worth $1,000. He's just told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for me, an hour of learning is at least $1,000. Just yesterday, an unfortunate thing happened. No, but I pointed out, I had a little screaming match here in the koil. I asked the guy, where are you going? He says, I have to go pick up my kid. I said, why? He said, because if you come in this, it's 5 shekel. I said, you're joking, right? He says, no, 5 shekels. I said, so you just made all your learning worth 5 shekel. You just said the learning in 5 shekels is more important than the learning. That's what you just said. You just decided right here. We're learning the sugi, and you're telling me, Mamisha, a Maisa Shahaya. So now hold on. What? What? Oh, he didn't say that. Correct. I was about to do there. If the Ganenet, and what happened was, I took out 200 shekel from my pocket. I said, here, I know you're struggling with money. Here, this is for all the 5 shekels. In the future, 5 shekels. So he stayed. He stayed extra 25 minutes. So I spoke to him about it. I said, is the Ganenet upset? No, there's a lot of people, they make a little extra money like that. You're right. If it was a problem of midas, you're 100% right. If it's a problem of money, you just decide, these guys struggle. 5 shekel means a lot to them. But I said, you just lessened all your Torah to 5 shekel. That's what you just did. It's unfortunate. I don't want to be in that position. You're right. I'm just throwing it out. But forget the bad part, the good part. There's a guy that came 2 nights ago to the Hebrew shir. Came over, he says, he comes every night with his son. He says, I just gave up a private Yishai Rebo concert in my friend's backyard with a swimming pool to come to this year. We forget for when? Not a word that I know how to say.
We gave up.
We gave up. This is better. In Panovich, we never said we forwent. Forgoed, I would say. No, that sounds Amaratzistic. I knew that you don't say it like that. Okay, listen, why you guys said forgo, forwent? You listen to these guys, okay? These two guys. What? Forwent. Okay, yeah, okay. Right there, we're not learning English here in this class.
That's for sure.
This class, you like the way. Okay, so the Chavetz Chaim says, is a similar motion to what we said the other day. It says Givaldik. He says that a guy was very wealthy and he lost all his money. So somebody asked him, why are you working as a garbage man? He says, a garbage man? I'm starving. He says, yeah, but why garbage man? He says, because I'm starving. I have to eat something. What else should I do? So says the Chavetz Chaim, when you're starving, you have very little Torah mitzvahs in your life. So then you have to chaperah in everything. You have to, so even if like, people tell me, is it considered learning? I mean, 1.5 speed in my car, yeah. If you're starving, you have no Torah, you chap whatever you can chap. Is it the ultimate learning in the world of sitting down and harving over sugya and bi'iyun? No. But at least chaperah. Because it's not the best, that's why you're not going to eat. You got to chaperah whatever you chap. Okay. So, says the Gemara like this, huh?
I know a guy that had a ticket back to Israel, but he was going to miss giving shir, and he bought a brand new ticket.
You don't got like that. I don't remember the story, but it could be. It's a Ma'aseh Shematoya. It's a Givaldic story. Really? Wow. Forwent that ticket. Get over here. Say the story out loud.
He was willing to forgo.
He's willing to forgo. That's too many words.
You should write in. That guy should write in.
You should write in. Okay. Zokti Gemara. So, Omar Rav, if it is Zuli B'Skurs Mi'aser, what a person can't take less money than he's worth, he needs it right now. So therefore, we still have to understand, why is there two cases? You're allowed to take money up front and you're allowed to take whatever you want, but only if you start today at Sukkot time. But if you do the same thing in Pesach time, it's also. You're allowed to take however much money you want. You just said. Says Rava, Reisha Deloika Ovid Bahadei Mahashta. When you're not starting to work right away, then it looks like Agar Notarle, like the Maisa that I had over there. I love that Maisa, but we're not going to say it again. It looks like chametz. Yeah, I was in a hotel with the Hasidim that were struggling. Let's call them struggling Hasidim. They came with Reb Nutta, what's his name? Reb Pesach Frank. Reb Nutta Frank. A whole kfutza. Mata Frank. A whole Givaldic group of them. I actually met up with some of them recently. And they said, what are you doing Motzei Shabbos? I said, I'm going to Tveria. There's kosher LePesach pizza. My kids love pizza. So, very interesting. So we go with them. And they were struggling with the whole Yontev, Chil Yontev, not Chil Yontev. The kids, so we got there. And I see them looking back, forth, and then they walked away. So I said, "Was is das? What happened?" They said, "We can't do it. We can't pull the trigger." I said, "Why not?" Because it looks like chametz. So I said, "But didn't you eat chametz on Pesach the other day?" He said, "No. This is different. This looks like chametz. We're not doing it. It looks like chametz. This looks like pizza. We can't do it." Anyways, looks. So I heard a Maisa from Reb Y.Y. Jacobson. It blew my mind. And there's a Yosef to it. Reb Y.Y. said that a couple, he's trying to get to the sugi. You're going to get to the Mendy, you're going to get to the sugi. Chill out. You're going to understand everything perfect, but you have to hear the sugi, you have to hear this Maisa. You're going to love it. A couple comes to Reb Y.Y. and says, our son took off his shleima on Shabbos. We don't know what to do. So Reb Y.Y. says, your son took off his shleima. Your son is Mechal Shabbos. What do you mean he took off the shleima? So they said, yeah, he's Mechal Shabbos. But Chil Shabbos nobody knows about. Shleima is like B'fnei Kol Am Ve'eda. He showed up in shul without a shleima. So I said over this story to a huge Hasidic Talmud Chacham, and he says, of course, the parents are right. What do you mean? If You do Chil Shabbos b'tzina. You could do tshuva. You'll probably do. But to take off your shleima like that, barabim. I was like, do you understand what you're saying? And we went back and forth. He didn't understand what I said. I didn't understand what he was saying. I hear the sensitivity. I hear.
He's still going to shul.
I don't know if he's going for the kiddush. Anyway, I said the story over to Mayor Koenig. So he had a kid in his house for a while. He says the mother called him up. He says, Mayor, my kid, I don't know what to do. He took off that rim around his yarmulke. He's going with the yarmulke like Stefansky, like a shegitz. So he told her, he says, I have news for you, but your son doesn't really keep Shabbos, doesn't wear tefillin. So she said, yeah, that's pashut. But nobody sees it. Mom's the same thing. He told me, Shaya. Nobody knows about it. Okay. So over here, it looks. Now you understand this, Mendy? It looks like ribbis. When it looks like ribbis, when it looks like chametz, you can't do it. It's not ribbis. Why is it not ribbis? Because there's no ribbis on a person's salary, on a person's wages. But when it looks bad, I give you a loan of $3,000 today so that you work for me in 6 months from now for cheap. It looks like ribbis. So it looks like ribbis is also. But when it doesn't look like ribbis, when you start working right away today on sukkahs, mutter, end of the sugya. Says the Gemara, it says in the Mishnah that if you're selling flax, I sell you 50 acres of flax. If you rip out of the ground 3 pieces of flax, you acquired all the flax. Ask the Gemara, what? Because you took 2 pieces out of the ground, that makes a kinyan? Let's say I sell you 10 of these screens over here. You lift 1 of these up. You're kind of the rest? No. You have to make a kinyan. You have to acquire everything. Go improve the karka anywhere, even a small amount. So you went and you cleaned up 3 stalks worth, 2 inches worth of the karka. Ukni kol masholeh, says Taisis on top. I think Rashbam is also saying that, although my Chavrusa argued with me. He says the Rashbam argues with this. So I like Taisis. We're going to go with Taisis. In this case, I always go with the Rashbam, but it's Geshmak over here. It's top of the page. It's easy to find. I want you to make a chazaka, says the Taisis, in the karka. It's like doing nag parts. You're making you're kind it. Now it's lent to you. It's rented to you. Now the entire 50 acres becomes yours. So now, because it's all yours, you make a kinyan on everything. Says the like Mishnah. If I sell you wine or oil to your friend and it went up in price, down in price, the measuring cup. If somebody could bring me paper towels, because it's a little dirty here what I'm about to do. It's not going to get you guys dirty. Okay, fine. I might as well just use the measuring cup right now because we used it yesterday. You know what? I'll put on my gloves. Yes, it's. I don't want to get all oily. Shmak. Mendy, you'll understand the whole sugya perfectly before Shabbos. Just do this maybe. Okay. This is a measuring cup. So it says in the Gemara that if the Mishnah, it went up in price. If it's not full until the top, so this goes to sell up to here. He starts filling up. Yeah, we can do it right now. Why not? It's not. You go like this. Up. I'm the seller. It's still mine. But once it's all the way up to the top amount, then it goes up. It's 2 cups exactly. Now it goes to the buyer. That's not why I brought this thing here. So in a second. If the middleman was there, how do you call the middleman in English? Not the shadchan, the broker. If he was there, Nishbra Chavis. Now the broker is not acting as an agent for anybody. He's doing his own business. He's a middleman. He likes to take a cut in the middle. So Nishbra Chavis, if the barrel breaks, Nishbra Lasarsur, then the middleman, the broker, he takes the loss. Oh, the Chayiv Lahativ Loi Sholosh Tipin says the Tanakama that you have to give him 3 tipim. That's what I want to show you. Check this out. It's beautiful stuff. I'm the seller and you're the buyer. You gave me this kli. So I'm gonna pour all this. Now it's very, very quick. When it stops coming out of the kli, you know when you go to the gas station, you fill up your tank and then you have to put the 3 drops in. Some people stay there for 6 minutes because they want to get the last drop and they squeeze the pipe a little bit. That's what we're doing over here with oil. No, people do it because they don't want the car to get dirty, not because they're stingy. No, not. Here, watch this. It's going to happen quickly. I'm pouring this in. Pour. Here, 1, 2, 3. That's it. How much oil do I have left in here? Hardly anything. Now wait. If you wait, the longer you wait, the more oil is going to fill into this. Check this out. I'm going to go sideways here. It's starting to fill up. You can see. You see? We'll wait here for 2 seconds, and you'll see how much oil I have. As the seller, I have to fill your thing up, and then 3 drops. 1, 2, 3, boom. But you bought all of this. You paid for 2 cups. But guess what? You see how much oil here? Now it's very significant. There was a guy in the shir last night, a Chassidish guy with a long beard. He came over to me after shir. He says, we grew up in Yerushalayim. When we had a thing of oil like that, my mother would put it upside down for an entire day. She would wait there an entire day for every single last drop. That's how they grew up. He told me the aniyos that they had. Toothpaste, yeah, there's mumchem, there's big mumchem. I have a sister. Ooh, she has tremendous talent, tremendous. Then afterwards you buy these devices that you can roll it on the roll. You know, I have a cleaning lady, so sie sein nicht gesund. I have those toothpastes that, stand upwards. They don't. She, for some reason, figures that it's right side down. So she flips it over. Now, when you're at the end, I'm trying to get to shear, one last toothbrush thing, and I have to wait. Why do you have to flip it over? You see it every day this way. She has to flip it over that way. I'm a shugana. Gotta fire her. But I need her for Pesach. Anyway, says...
The last night of this morning, it over in the middle of the night?
Hold on. We gotta move. Mendy needs to learn the sugya. Hirkino matzis. Hirkino means literally, check this out. You put it sideways. Hirkino, you put it sideways. Matzis, here. Do I have the thing? I forgot what's... Oh, here we go. Hirkino matzis. I devised a way that I'll still have sticky tape on the Hirkino matzis. This is called Hirkino matzis. If you want to know what Hirkino matzis, this amount that's left there. Now it's getting more sticky. You see this? It's mamish geschmack. That Hirkino matzis belongs to who? To the seller. The Gemara is going to explain to us because it comes out of Yush. In other words, the buyer has no interest in waiting around for 5 minutes until everything comes to the bottom and then you'll re-pour it. He wants to get out of there. A guy that does this for a living, what, he's going to sit there for 5 minutes every time? Boom! He doesn't have to do 3 tipim. So let me just show you real quickly. We just had, the Reisha says that the seller has to give 3 tipim, and the Sefer says, you potter. The Kotzker Rebbe said to his Hasidim, he said, I could tell, after Yom Kippur, he looked at all his Hasidim and said, I know exactly what each person davened for, and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him. No, anybody want to try me? Everybody was scared. One guy says, yeah, Rebbe, try me. So he says, okay, you have a store, you sell stuff, and you like to learn. But the problem is that customers come in every 5 minutes and they disturb your learning. So you ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, all my customers should come in one shot. That I can learn, B'Ritzifus, normal. The Chassid says, wow, Rebbe, how do you know? No, Rebbe, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, 9, no. I want you to be oived me the way you're supposed to be oived. I'm not going to give you everything. You're gonna learn Torah with your little problems in between, with the little things. Zog the Gemara in Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Erev Shabbos Mchashecha Pator. So I made this easy for everybody because the Gemara seems to be not difficult, but just to hold cup. There's a Reisha. The Reisha says the seller has to give 2 drops. Is that what Rabbi Yehuda says? Look, check this out. Is Rabbi Yehuda going on the Reisha? But Erev Shabbos, 3 drops. Rabbi Yehuda says, Erev Shabbos, you don't have to give any drops. Or no, we just learned that a store owner doesn't have to give 3 drops. Rabbi Yehuda is going to be machmer and says, no, only on Erev Shabbos, you don't have to give 3 drops. But on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you do have to give 3 drops. Okay, so this is just a little Chazara preview. And by the way, here in Eretz Yisrael, we're machmer more than the Mishnah, because over here, if you have your store open 2 hours before Shabbos, they'll revoke your hechsher. Over here it says, all the way Erev Shabbos till Erev Chashecha, till Shkia, people used to have the stores open. Hamida the man. So the Gemara asks a simple question: who owns this measuring cup? Ileima mida lekeach. If you're going to tell me it's the purchaser's measuring cup, actually it's malas mida lemoicher, the buyer. This is his measuring cup, and the seller is putting stuff into his measuring cup. Why should it be the seller's? Every little bit that goes into the cup should be the buyer's. We learned it in Arba Midos. So you're going to tell me that it's really the seller's. So then the question is, even if it's the seller's, and I filled it up 2 cups, how did it just become the buyer's? So what if I fill it? It's in the seller's vessel, and I filled up. What kinyan was he kainet? It's still the chatzar of the seller. It's owned by the moicher. Here, remember we had a middleman. The broker, he's lending his vessel. See, it has his picture in it. So the same thing that we said the other day. When 2 people borrow 1 kli from 1 person, so it depends who needs it at that point. In the beginning, the seller needs it. So as long as he's filling it up here, it belongs there. He's filling it up, it belongs to the moicher. As soon as it fills up, boom, it jumps to the lekeach. Vaha, as the Gemara, can't be a middleman's. It says in the end, if there was a middleman, only in the Seifa does the Mishnah introduce a middleman. That if the barrel broke, then it goes to the middleman. Mikla ad Reisha, and the Reisha is not talking about a middleman. It says the Gemara, Reisha mida beloy sarsur. We're talking about that he just lent his kli, he wasn't around. Seifa b'sarsur atzmai. But in the Seifa, it's talking about this case that we see on the screen. The middleman was actually present. So if he's present, he takes full responsibility of what goes in his kli. He's trying to make all the money he can. So then he's responsible for everything that's there. But if he just lent the kli, then what? Because then he doesn't relinquish his kli. It's his. He's there. I'm waiting for it's his kli. But when he's not there, he gives it to them. Okay. Hirkino motzis hareu shamoicher. Rabbi Yosef, a very, very simple question. Let's pretend that this whole kli was full of truma. Truma is hegdish. And I go to the kohen, I pour the same thing I did to the seller, to the buyer. This kli is owned by a buyer. Pretend this kli is owned by a kohen. I go to kohen, I have a whole measuring cup full of oil I want to give you as a gift, as a truma gift. He says, okay, I fill it up. I do 3 drops. But look how much is left now. Whose oil is this? Whose oil is this? It's the kohen's. It's truma. The whole thing was truma. How did it become mine? So if you agree to me that this oil is the kohen's, it's truma, it's hegdish, it's Hashem's, so how in the world are the whatever's left over? If this is not a kohen, why is it now the seller's, not the buyer's? You just admitted to me that it's the other guy, the guy that deserves it. Ask the Gemara. When Rebbe Elazar went to Israel, he bumped into Ziri. Does anybody know the halachas the Rav said in Midos that we just learned? They showed him, here, go to Rav Yitzchak, he's a pro in Midos. Rav Yitzchak says, I heard you have some issues. No, let me hear. So he tells him, it says in our Mishnah that when you put the kli on a side like this, sideways, whatever is left over is the seller's. But now, Amud Beis, 3 minutes, more than enough Amud Beis. It says Mefurish that if you do that, it's truma. I forgot to tell the Israelis, it's a very important halacha, so I'm going to tell it to you now before I forget. Even if this is truma, the stuff on the bottom, if I pour this in here, and right away I fill up my kli again, that's good. then I don't have an issue with truma because the stuff is all over the kli. It didn't gather on the bottom. But if I wait and I have this on the bottom, now it's legit. Now I have a problem. Now it's truma. Rashbam says, you use it right away? Not. Truma. Over here, you're right. It should be the buyers. The reason why, here, let's see now let's see together how much actually fell to the bottom. This is a serious amount, especially if you lived in Yerushalayim 60 years ago. Okay? So says the Gemara, you're right, it should be the buyers. The reason it's the sellers is because the buyer gives up on it. He doesn't want to wait around for 5 minutes. He gives it as a gift to the seller. But when it comes to kachim, you can't. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not being mevater here. It's Hashem's. So what? Hashem doesn't want to wait around 5 minutes. It becomes yours. It's still kachim. It's still hegdish. Says the Gemara, now these words make a lot of sense because we already did it. Let's do it again. The Reish on top says red, that the seller has to give 3 drops to the buyer. And the Sefer says that a guy that does this professionally for a living, he doesn't have to give 3 drops. Rabbi Yehuda comes and says, but on Erev Shabbos, you potter. So was he referring to the ratio where it says that when I sell privately to you, I have to give 3 drops, but on Erev Shabbos, I don't have to give? So that's a kula. Or he's saying that even a store owner who does this professionally must give 3 drops throughout the whole week. The only time that he's potter is on a Friday afternoon, and memeli he's machmir. Very, very interesting. I got to tell you this. The Dover Mishor wants to bring a raya from here. Unbelievable. Again, how one Gemara could be a raya to something completely abstract. Shabbos morning, you take a mug, you wash it out in the sink, you have a bunch of cold water in your mug. Then you go to the urn and you fill up your cup. You're over on bishul, cooking up the water that's in your mug. So he says, he wants to bring a raya from here, that if you go like this to your mug 3 times, you barely have any water in there, it's mutter. Because we see over here that whatever's left over in the mug is insignificant. Says the Chazon Ish, I don't know what you're talking about. It's insignificant because he's mivater, he's moichel to the guy because of yiyush. But not because it's insignificant. Behilchois bishul, I'm mivashal. I'm not sticking around for 5 minutes to wait for that insignificant amount of water. So water is less than oil, I get it, the whole thing. I'm just throwing it out that has to do with here. What? Exactly, truma, it's a problem. So Ligabi Shabbos is also a problem. Ligabi truma, it stays truma. It is truma. So the Shabbos, it should also stay Shabbos. What? But truma, it stayed. Everything in this vessel is 100% truma. You're not allowed to use it. You're saying even in the case that he filled it up with his own stuff, then not. Then not. If you fill it with his own stuff. But over here, as you're filling up the water, it's a mevashal it. You're talking about after you fill it up with the water, as you're pouring in the hot water, which was later. It's already time for. Okay, Toshma, I'll prove it to you. The Sanya Rabbi Oimer, Erev Shabbos Mechashei Chochem V'ni Potter, Mipnei Shechem V'ni Tarud. It seems like Rabbi Yehuda was referring to. Let's go back to this chart. Rabbi Yehuda was referring to the Seifa that we're talking about. Erev Shabbos Tarud. So he's actually being machmer. Where the Mishnah says that an owner he could get away with giving the 3 drops. Says Rabbi Yehuda, that's only on Erev Shabbos because we're talking about a tirda. Says the Mishnah. This is really gonna make people go crazy. This halacha. If I ask you, not a single person in this room will agree with this Mishnah, unless he sees the Gemara. And the halacha is like the Mishnah. Somebody sends his young child to the makolah. That happens here in Israel every day to buy some oil. He gives him a larger denomination. It's worth 2 iser. So the owner says, okay, you give me a kli. He fills it up with oil. He gives him the change. He gives him 1 iser back. A whole kli is worth 1 iser. The kid comes with 2. He gives him back 1 change. Now it broke on the way. It got destroyed. Who's responsible? So the Mishnah says, this is the what? Yosef, you saw the Hebrew shir. You learned the Mishnah. There's no way. Logically speaking, it doesn't make any sense. I sent my kid to buy something. So I'm responsible for everything that happens to the kid on the way home.
So you said they give it to the kid.
Oh, I shouldn't have given it to the kid. And your kid that goes to the makolet across the street from your house, and the battle breaks. Who's chayiv?
I wouldn't send it.
You wouldn't send them. But you do send them. You do send them all the time. Eggs, everything. I know what you do. Don't tell me stories. He lost it. He broke it. Everything went. The famous story that happened. I said this a long time ago. I'll say it again. Two brothers, weren't talking to each other for 50 years. When one of the brothers is 88 years old, they decided to make some peace. And it turns out like this. It turns out that one of the brothers was trying to make peace 50 years earlier in Yerushalayim, and he sent his brother Shalach Manas. And he sent it with his son. The son was a little kid. His son trips. The whole Shalach Manas, the cakes that the mother made, everything falls into the street. The street had full of cow dung and horse dung, whatever, the times of Yerushalayim. So you have all this soya and everything wrapped around the cake. The kid takes everything. He's really embarrassed. He takes all the cake, puts it back in, wraps it up, and delivers. The brother who's in a fight, he opens up the Shalach Manas. They sent me cake with cow dung. So he goes to his porch. He lived in Ramat Bet Shemesh Gimel. He goes to his porch in Mendy's apartment. He takes a full shovel worth of pigeon poop, puts it in a plate, wraps it up nicely, sends it back to the brother. So now you have a fight for 50 years. How do we know this story? Because the son, who was 60 years old at the time, he didn't care to tell the father the Ma'aseh Shaya. 60 years earlier, or 50 years earlier, he was scared because he tripped. He didn't want to tell his parents. Now he told the parents. So they fought for 50 years for no reason. Just remind you here, kid trips, falls, breaks the whole thing, says the Tanakam, and this is the halacha, the owner is chayiv, like Yosef said, because he shouldn't have sent it with him. Review the poiter, Shamanas Ken Shlachai. Review says like us, like most of us besides Yosef, that you sent the kid there, you took responsibility yourself. And Chacham agree that if the guy took the vessel, and he measured it, and he gave it, then the storekeeper is chaya potter from the actual vessel. Says the Gemara, I can understand this svar, what's going on there. The Rabbanan Sari lo yidu shadri. When I send my kid to the store, what I'm trying to do is, you're the store owner. You see a 6-year-old that could barely walk straight, and he says, fill this up with oil. You know he's going to trip. So what the father wants to do is fill it up with oil, put it on the side. I'll send it later with a taxi. I'll figure out how to get to you. But don't send it back with the kid. You know better than that. No, the father took the chance. Says the Gemara, the father, by giving a very breakable item to his son and tells him walk to the store, so he's mafkirit. He's mafkirit. So why should the store owner be chayiv on the tzluchas, on the kli? We're talking about that the father, not the store owner, the father is a seller of these bottles. And the store owner said, oh, interesting, you want to sell this to me? And he takes it, looks at it. Oh, once he takes it in his hand to check it out, now he's responsible for it. I know the kli. Two more lines. Says the Gemara, the Shmuel Tanoi. What? So we have a machlokes in our mission between Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. So what they're arguing in Shmuel, if he looks at it, is he chayav or not? Doesn't make any sense. No. When you buy oil, the guy's selling you the oil. He's selling you the vessel and everything. So the father was never mafkirit to begin with. It started its journey from the makolet, from the store. Okay, this piece of glass is the same thing as oil. So Chacham say, who's responsible on the oil? The storekeeper. Who's responsible for the glass? The storekeeper. And Rabbi Yehuda on the flip side says, no. Who's responsible for the oil? The child, the father. And who's responsible for the glass? The father. It's the same machlekes. It's another item that he's buying from the store. He's buying two items, oil and a glass. And either, according to Chachamim, the store owner is chayiv. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the father is chayiv. Rabbi Yisrael, it's a Shabbos at 9:30, not sharp. Rabbi Yisrael, have a wonderful day. A guten Shabbos.